After a decade and 22 movies, the Infinity Stone dust has settled and the Endgame has, well, ended. And that means we've lost a lot of heroes we've spent a lot of time being inspired by. And while the life and death of Tony Stark was played beautifully on the big screen, and watching his final, incredible moments of defiance hit us all hard, if there's one sure thing about Marvel, it's that death is rarely final. Well, that and they will find a way to jam Deadpool into everything they print. Okay, there are two sure things about Marvel: death and Deadpool. The MCU is, of course, based on decades of Marvel comic books, an almost endless library of heroic sacrifices, deaths, and funerals. So if you think that losing Tony, Black Widow, and even Cap in the MCU was tragic, Marvel Comics would kindly ask that you hold their beer, or since most of their comics are rated all ages, the age-appropriate beverage of your choice. Black Widow's death was the Endgame casualty I did not see coming. So pour one out for the queen of the Marvel Lady Trademark Head Scissor Takedown. But don't pour too much out for the star of everyone's favorite get out of my thread gif on Twitter, because Marvel has built an empire on sending characters to their graves and then shockingly returning them from their graves. Now, in comparison to other Avengers, Natasha hasn't gone to live on a farm upstate nearly as many times, but she did die in Secret Empire number 7. You know, that weird story where Cap joined Hydra? And if that's not enough, Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, Rocket, and Black Panther get wiped out too. That's a ton of major players turned into cannon fodder for a single story arc. How can Marvel do that? The answer is they just brought them all back by the end of Secret Empire number 10, Nat included. Tony Stark's funeral was a truly wonderful, moving scene. Except for that one moment where everyone in the theater stopped sobbing long enough to say, "Hey, who's that teen standing by the How I Met Your Mother lady?"
Wanna shut up?
But otherwise, emotionally powerful and beautiful. Obviously for the MCU, beginning and ending this first volume with Tony's birth as Iron Man and death as the linchpin of the franchise is the only way to go. But is this really the end for Tony Stark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? After all, on paper, Tony is beheaded in Infinity Gauntlet number 4 and then restored in Infinity Gauntlet number 6. He ends up brain dead in a vegetative state in Iron Man Volume 2 number 19. His consciousness is then re-uploaded from a backup copy in Iron Man Volume 2 number 24. Tony dies in Avengers number 395 and gets replaced by a super cool Teen Tony from an alternate dimension. Then Teen Tony seemingly dies in Marvel Universe Onslaught. The original 616 Tony is reborn in Heroes Reborn, Iron Man number 1, and returns to Earth in Heroes Reborn, The Return number 4. Moving out of the 616 and into the Ultimate line, Iron Man is defeated, has brain surgery performed on him, and then is left to die in Ultimate Comics Ultimates number 27. Ultimate Comics guarantees you two things. One, they'll say the word Ultimates a lot, and two, they're real grim. The next issue reveals he used an Infinity Gem to evolve into a pure electronic consciousness and can exist inside technology still alive. Ultimate Comics Ultimates, see what I mean? Number 30 has him use Infinity Gems to create a new body to inhabit, making him fully resurrected, which even for comics is pretty ridiculous. Ultimate Iron Man also dies as a result of Secret Wars, but then is resurrected by the Maker in Ultimates Volume 2, number 9 in 2017, which is also ridiculous, but at least it's a little more straightforward than using a magic gem to turn you into Electric Gremlin. As you can see, Marvel has a pretty casual relationship with death. The we hook up but we're not committed type that would make Thanos crazy jealous. Captain America may have had a lovely send-off in Endgame, but there could always be a return to sender on that send-off. Because in the comics, he gets sent off a lot. Steve was killed in Infinity Gauntlet number 4, kind of killed in Captain America number 443, and shot to death in the kind of spoilery title, Death of Captain America. That time it was revealed that he wasn't shot, he was just shot out of time, which seems a lot more painful than using a DeLorean. Avengers Volume 5, number 44 sees Iron Man and Captain America die in a helicarrier crash, then brought back at the end of Secret Wars number 9 when reality is rebooted. Cap is killed in Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 11, then resurrected in number 12. In Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 12, Cap is also repeatedly atomized by Dr. Doom, only to then be immediately resurrected each time by the Beyonder, which is horrible. The Avengers just die a lot, you guys. That's part of the job at this point. In Avengers Volume 1, number 177, in the Korvac saga, most of the team dies. Most of them bite the dust in the original Secret Wars too, the OG one, not the cool Bendis one or the one with Disco Beyonder. They all get murdered again by Onslaught in the 90s. So, how does Marvel still make comics? Everybody's dead. And the answer is shenanigans. In the case of Onslaught, they were shoved into a pocket universe and came back redesigned by Rob Liefeld. Hey, let's play a little game of Would You Rather. Would you rather stay dead or be alive but never have visible feet and be covered in pouches? Discuss. I know we give soap operas crap for absurd, but they weren't really dead tropes, but Marvel Comics makes Days of Our Lives look like a very grounded Chris Nolan project. In my opinion, it's a well they go to too often. Death very rarely has any true meaning in Marvel Comics. I was in middle school when the X-Men were wiped out of reality in Legion Quest and sobbed in the backseat of my parents' car. Back then, I was too young to know better. I thought Professor X was literally going to be encased in crystal for the rest of his life. But now, I'm a broken and jaded adult, and I know that even untouchable dead characters like Gwen Stacy, Jean Grey, and Uncle Ben are, to quote a pirate, more guidelines than actual rules. So, can the MCU play as fast and loose with mortality as its paper-bound cousin? My argument is no. While Gamora's return, for instance, was an extraordinarily clever way to bring her back, they really put in the work to not just bring her back in an interesting and logical way, but they did it in a way that will present a narrative challenge to the characters around her in movies moving forward. But our willing suspension of disbelief can really only stretch so far on the big screen, and Marvel is going to have to play the surprise card sparingly and carefully. Electric Gremlin Tony Stark would probably get met with eye rolls instead of cheers. Of course, this franchise has to run until the planet collapses, so inevitably Steve Rogers and Tony Stark are going to return so that the young nerds that come well after we're gone will get to have as much fun with them as we did. Will they pull it off? The only real way to find out is to gauge the reaction when Steve Rogers is eventually brought back to the present because of shenanigans, recast with the guy that plays Archie. So, do you think the MCU can handle death and resurrection like they do in the comics, or does dead actually mean dead on the big screen? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching.